It's not working. Oh, there it is. It's working.
Okay.
It says it started recording.
Now, why doesn't that light change?
I don't know. I could go ask Linda if you'd like me to, but then I can't take
Where
it.
are these played anyways? Where can you
YouTube.
see?
On YouTube.
On YouTube? Town of East Haddam?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just Town of East Haddam Conservation Commission. Okay, it being 7:31, I'll call the meeting to order. I'm not gonna call the roll because I believe you already have that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I do need our guests.
Yes.
I am Aiden Bahilo.
A-I-D-E-N?
A-I-D-A-N.
A-N, okay.
Of Troop 22.
B-I-G-E-L-O?
No, B-E-H-I-L-O. No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Did I spell it again? I'm sorry.
B-E-H-I-L-O.
All right. And your name?
Ellen?
E-L-L-E-N?
E-L-O-E-N.
Evening. Lovely spring day.
It is, it is.
I thought there was winter. Was it a week
Don't
ago or a year
jinx
ago? I
us.
forgot now.
But this is the January thaw.
Do we need to appoint, alternates?
We have no alternates.
Right, we have none.
Everybody's here, but okay. So there's none.
Plus, we have no alternates.
Oh, both of our.
Oh, you're an alternate. I kept thinking we had voted you on. Sorry. How could I
Well, no one
forget?
ever actually explained that to me, but
So no alternates needed.
No alternates needed, especially after that remark.
That will not be in the minutes. We do
Okay.
have a pretty good time here.
We're tough on people.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved? Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the Conservation Commission minutes of 1/8/19.
So there are a couple of changes that I already captured. So under 5A, under the Stewardship and Forestry Management Subcommittee section, it's the fourth line, so 1, 2, 3, 4. It says horses, semicolon, Mr. Smith noted that it is not, I changed is to will per Maryland's direction. So there's that one. On page 2, under volunteer activism, I spelled Aiden's last name incorrectly, so I fixed that, but I have to fix his first name, so hang on. Because I spelled it with a D and E. instead of an A. And then I also, sorry, spell it correctly. I also added property on the second line after town, so that line reads Scout project, but which town property? So that's there, I added the word property. And then under Public Works, D, the last line on the page, after it reads Haddam News, comma, when the Patrel, I added Patrel ADA trail is completed. Does anybody have anything else? Oh, and then the other thing I did do is on page 3 under 6 new business. For some reason, when I was copying the sections, new bills got A, B, C. I stripped it so that B and C were removed. It's all under A. So then it'll be A, and then public comment will be the new B.
Okay.
So I fixed that.
And you added headlock.
Oh, okay. I did not see that.
That wasn't big enough
I didn't see that one.
in red?
The third bill down, Amazon 500-piece bucket of, it wasn't good enough to say screws. Rob wants me to add the word headlock screws. So I will add headlock screws.
Now, do you really think any of the public would know the difference?
Somebody will.
They say, what are you doing, spending so much money for plain screws?
Exactly. That's why I put headlock. Okay.
Does anybody have anything else?
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move. Accept the minutes as amended. I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Under, since we have guests here, with the permission of the commission, we could move the Eagle Scout project proposal under 6A up to inserted here, so they wouldn't have to go listen to all our older business. Everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
Motion?
You looking for a motion, so moved.
Second?
Are we making an official motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it that way. All in favor? Aye. All right. So, wanna go with it?
Do you think maybe we should introduce ourselves?
Well, we can do that.
Yes.
So we'll introduce ourselves. If you would like to know who we are.
I'd love to. Yeah, I think it'd only be fair if I introduce myself. So I'm Aiden Bahailo of Troop 22. So I'm, beginning to start my Eagle Scout project, and I contacted Mr. Smith through, Mrs. Dinette over there. So that's how I am here today. So why don't you guys tell me who you guys are? So.
I'm Charlotte Elston.
Todd Gelston, Charlotte's husband. We know your father real well.
Oh yeah.
He and our oldest son were in school together, we buddies.
Yeah.
Paul Sienna.
Yeah.
I'm still Mr. Smith.
I'm Shannon Goyette, I'm the recording secretary.
Marilyn Gleason.
Gary Wilson.
And Sue Merrill.
All right. So
Tell us what you're thinking.
So I have some pamphlets here. The school is not happy that I only printed 6 because it was 42 pages
Wow.
of full-on color, and we can know.
I'm
You
gonna
guys can
keep
share.
one.
All right, I have
I'll take yours.
one more.
We can share.
Yeah.
I need one for the minutes, so.
Here, well, you can use that one, and
Perfect.
I've seen some of this already, so.
This is for you, Rob.
So those are just sort of guides, but I also want to be sure to talk about, sort of what the project is, what encompasses it, what visions we have going into the future. So based on the start of it, the Davison project, the property it's a beautiful site. It has a lot of historical background. It's a really nice location. And the fact is, it's been just so neglected in the past, I went there back in January 16th, last month. And the place, it was just kind of, falling apart. There were trees down, and obviously, we had the September rain, and, it was kind of a mess. And the fact is, so I did some research and whatnot, and if you go onto the historical background and whatnot, I've mapped out the family tree. So you guys are all familiar with John D. Rockefeller, the oil tycoon, Standard Oil, right? So the D stands for Davison, and I've traced the family. I'm still confused about where the line goes. I'm pretty sure Frank Davison comes from Mary Ann Davison. I'm not too sure yet, I'm still doing the research, but so John D. Rockefeller, his aunt was actually Mary Ann Davison, and their family owned the property. And do you guys know who Walter Golick is?
Yeah.
So I've been in contact with him. He knew Frank Davison. He did errands for Frank Davison, so I'm trying to get more information on that. So the fact is, this site, it's got a lot of historical background. It's a really nice location. I sort of want to expand upon that. Plus, I know the commission also had plans for it as well, so I just want to, carry that through. So the next page is going to be the development, what's actually going to happen. And so basically what encompasses it, so on the page after that, so that's sort of, page after that is sort of the step-by-step rundown of what's going to happen. So the first part of the project will be fixing the hill up towards the location. You can see some of the photos. Fixing that, cleaning the trails, and then ultimately developing the vista at the very top. So that'll be the kind of cap.
Now, when you say developing the vista, what will that entail? Cutting down trees?
Definitely, so clearing and sort of making it self-sufficient and whatnot, because Mr. Sienna, because I've talked with him, they 2 years ago you guys cleared out the top, but through the process it all grows back. So the fact is that if you have to go in every 2 years and do the same thing over and over, that's just not efficient. That's not, it's wasting people's time. So the ultimate goal I want to have is to create a site that is sustainable, something that you go in maybe once a year and fix it up. And I know that, the ultimate end goal for this is to have, a grassed area at the top with benches and picnic tables. So I think at the top, I definitely want to expand on the historical aspect be it with a kiosk or a plaque, because obviously you can see there's a lot to do with it, like, you know, World War II, you know, the entire Davison family in general, so definitely want to expand upon that. Picnic tables, benches, just so hikers like you and me, we can go up there and enjoy and really utilize the public property, so that, I hope that answers your question. So, do you guys have any questions, or do you want me to elaborate on anything? I know I gave a very generalized summary of what it is, but I can always provide details.
I'm glad to see you're gonna apply new gravel on the ascent, because that gravel is awful.
Yeah.
That's there.
So I've talked with Mr. Steve Hedler of the East Haddam Public Works. He already has gravel lined up to go on that hill. So I've talked with him. He said that he's gonna, you know, lay the gravel down, do the drainage and stuff, and then I'll probably go in with a crew of like 10, 11, 12 guys, and we'll just tamp it out and make it all kosher. So that's sort of the plan, and you know, so.
So how many other scouts would be involved with you?
So I definitely, this is obviously gonna be a very manpower intensive project,
Right.
but it's not gonna be, you know, technical. You know, everyone and anyone can participate in something like this. So in my troop, there's like 30 kids, 20 active, and I'm hoping to poll at least, you know, 12, 15 kids per work party. So, and I know that clearing the vista, that's gonna be a very, you know, that's gonna be a difficult project, but I'm hoping to, you know, utilize your resources, utilize the public works resources to sort of, you know, get the heavy work done that, you know, we can do. Because as scouts, we're not allowed to use chainsaws, we're not allowed to use like brush hogs and stuff, so that responsibility needs to be handed off to either other adult leaders, other, you know, organizations, so.
Can I just ask, you speak in here of that you're gonna do fundraising, I presume that would be for the things like the benches and so forth. Do you have a little budget, do you have any sense
I
of how
do
much?
actually. I overestimated because, you know, it's safe just to give you some cushion. If you wanna look through, because that's another big part of what it is. I have estimates as to what's going to happen. I think, yeah, this is it. So if you wanna look through that, because that's the official BSA. So I think at Shagbark they have like a build your own 8-foot table, like picnic table kit for around $200. And of course I'm thinking like the tables and benches, that's gonna be dictated upon the vista, you know, what we can have, because I don't wanna like buy a picnic table kit and then realize that you can't utilize it for the site. So it's gonna have to be curtailed towards what we do with the site, so. That's gonna.
And what's your deadline? When do you have to complete your project by?
By like 2021, because I'm 15 years old right now. The deadline is when I turn 18.
Oh, okay,
So
so you've got lots of time.
Yeah.
That's good.
I would like to get this done by the end of this year, because I'm a sophomore in high school right now, and junior year is gonna be, you know, pretty difficult. I'm hoping to stack up on some classes and whatnot. So I obviously want to start this now before the crunch really sets in. So that's, I hope that answers your question. You know, I want to get this done before things start piling up.
That's much better than leaving it for the last minute, for sure.
Because
Been that early.
yeah, because I don't know. I've said this a lot. You know, a lot of Eagle Scouts, you know, they show up. It's 6 months before their birthday, and they're like, "I need a project.
Right.
Please help me."
Yes.
And I don't want to be that person, because I feel, you know, Boy Scouts is supposed to be about being prepared, preparing you for, you know, the future, and showing up 6 months before your 18th birthday, that's not preparedness, that's not anything, so I don't believe in that.
So you're gonna do research on the family and on the Army observation
Yes.
thing stuff, okay.
I'm hoping to, you know, I want to flesh out the family tree, because Frank Davison, you know, my grandmother knew him. You know, I don't know if any of you guys knew Frank Davison, but I need to find where he fits into the tree so I can, you know, figure that out. I also want to figure out, you know, I'm going to talk to Mr. Golick about the World War II tower and whatnot. So definitely, there's a lot to figure out.
As I think I mentioned when we were sitting down at your home, that I think it'd be kind of cool to, if you can do the research, and now you can do a lot of this stuff online, is to see what, military usually took pictures of everything, and, I mean, because they did have phone communications up there, so you probably could even find a work order where it demanded that, or where they put in there, get a phone up there, so be kind of curious, or if not curious, then at least interesting to see how it all came together. And you probably could even find a roster of who worked there. So,
Yeah, I'll definitely.
but next snowy, rainy day, and you want to get on a computer and just search till your fingers are raw. So, excellent. So, questions? Any more? No?
Just another remark about, I think, another nice thing about the Davison site, besides the history, is that it's near population centers, near Woodus. It's a doable hike for all kinds of people and easy to get to. It's not way out in the sticks, so it has real potential. So I'm so pleased that you have zeroed in on that.
Gary, anything else?
Looks good, sounds good.
Yes, real good. It warms my heart.
Alright, that's the goal, giving back to the community, and there's more information about this being, one of the first donated sites, and the fact that it's been neglected, it's kind of sad. There's a lot of history behind it, and I just want to expand upon that.
Yeah, I have a few questions after my heart gets warmed here. The picture is great, it's fantastic.
Nice view. Look at all the trees you cut there.
Yeah.
I know the guy that did it, yeah. It was a great time. But first of all, I think there's other opportunity to visit. This faces the southwest, this faces more to the south, looking southeast may be another vista as well. So when I like to see a layout plans, sketches of where the vistas are gonna be, because it's important to maintain them. Because before we cut, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And so also, before the gravel is put down, you need to talk to Mr. Hedler, and you need plans for drainage. Because you got a nice picture here of water going down the road.
And pulling up.
That's because nature's telling you water wants to go down that road, because even in dry times, there's water going down that road. So I think if you had to put some drainage in, he would know how to do that. That's real important, because if you put gravel down, it'll just get washed out. And the history of the property, that's great. You even got a family tree here with Rockefeller, it's fantastic. But also, what was up there was not just a observation platform, it was a plane spotting area. It was for defensive purposes, because at the beginning of World War II, people were scared that Pratt Whitney was gonna get bombed any day. They didn't know what the Germans' capability was, so it's real serious business. And I think it's a great, I have an idea to build a replica of what was there originally, and with a little history, because it brings home, it brings the war home to East Haddam, as it was then in 1941, 1942, a very dark time in the country. So I think what you're doing is fantastic. And I also want to tell you what I was told is this hill was originally bare, naked, and sheep grazed there, and sheep kept the grass short. And I'm not suggesting you go raise sheep up there. But, your idea about planting some grass that can be easily mowed or only grow a certain height and keeps the brush out, the trees out, that's fantastic. Because I said,
No problem cropping for you.
yeah, and I suggest trefoil, but that's another story. Okay, so thank you very much. We look forward to the next 3 years.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize plan, put it on paper first, and then go do it, because there's a lot of work here,
There is, yeah.
and we hate to have to do rework. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
You need this back?
yeah.
Charlotte, do you have any questions?
Nope, I asked mine already.
And you, Paul?
I'm just gonna say, when we talked to Aiden, he's gonna be the GC on this project. That's how it's gonna work. Because there's a lot of work to be done there that we're gonna have to do, the town's gonna have to do, the Boy Scouts are gonna have to do. So that's gonna be his job. He's the GC. We're the customer and the workers. So we're gonna tell him, he's gonna have his vision, we're gonna make sure it's what we want and what we want the outcome to be, and I think it's gonna work out good. Should be good.
Yeah, I do, I wanna retract, I do have a question, and that is there gonna be a kiosk or something set up that will provide some explanation of, and some of the history of the people who owned this property and what it was used for in the past?
Yeah, so originally I had, I didn't know a lot about it, so I was thinking just like a single plaque, but I feel like a plaque wouldn't do justice to, the amount of history. So I'm thinking something along the lines of a kiosk, just, two sides overlaying, like maybe one side would be sort of, the family aspect, the other side might be, World War II, and then maybe I'll have a section talking about, what it is today, maybe I'll have some maps. Again, so I have the research, I just gotta do more, but that's towards, the later half of the project.
So we do have a standardized kiosk, which the Mosick boys, they, one of them built a very large one, and the other one built two smaller ones, which would be appropriate for this, I think. Which gives you basically a 3-foot by 4-foot bulletin board, a signboard on each side. So I can get you those plans, I have them electronically, if you would like. I will say also that Steve Hedler, who's the Public Works Foreman, was a former Eagle Scout and is very interested in working with Aiden. I guess you had called him and for whatever reason, he said it was hard to understand, but I explained who it was, and he was really quite excited to hear that what was going to be going on, and he said that he'd look forward to working with you on the project and helping out in any way, shape, or form that he could. And yes, we do have gravel already assigned and available for that area, and apparently the crew doesn't like when I put the ruts up the hill, so they want a better road there.
That was a trench.
Oh,
The drainage trench.
trenches. So, as I said, I did a hike up there, I think it was in November, and there's actually been more trees down apparently from photos from when we were up there. So, I think for your preliminary presentation, I think we're set. Any other questions anyone's come up with?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Your picture is very graphic, and I see where we cut trees, we have about 2-foot high oak brush.
Yeah.
Should we get into our brush cutter right now and cut it? Because it's gonna grow like crazy next season.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, I think I mentioned that to you when we were talking, I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
There's a lot of, those are years of phenomenal acorn production, and it shows. It's possible we might be able to get in there with our machine. It would have to be the small machine because we don't know where all the stumps and everything are, so.
Yeah, I meant the small machine, right?
Yeah.
Plus I wouldn't want to run a tractor in that steep hill either, myself.
No.
So, I was hoping Mr. Hedler would be able to get in there with the mini, mini excavators, which was what his original goal was, but, and it may still happen because like I said, he's interested in doing something there, but, we will do what we can with what we have, so.
So I'll just note in the minutes that as a side note, Mr. Gilson noted that the CC needs to get the Vista brush cut.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Is it something we could show the progress once it starts in the East Haddam News?
I think that'd be a great before and after, and
We could do periodic articles showing the,
Yeah, that actually sounds great, promote it more.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like not many people know about it, so.
right.
and not only that, there's a second thing is that it might get more scouts interested in doing more
Right,
Eagle
that's what I
Scout
was
projects.
thinking,
Absolutely.
Thinking of donations as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Great idea.
Okay, so
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so am I. Great.
what we don't get a set like this for all of our projects.
This time is very
This is first
impressive.
Setting the bar pretty high.
The Mosics were really good.
The
The
Mosics did quite
Mosics were
well.
really good.
I don't give them this much information when I.
Yeah, so,
Mosses are good, yes, they were.
Yeah, the Moses brothers,
They did a lot of work too.
I only knew them for about a year, cause I came in right as, you know,
Yeah, they were going out, yeah.
But, they were cool guys.
Yep.
And I did some merit badges with their dads, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
That's,
you need a sign off that we wanna move forward with this, correct? We're willing to go forward with this?
Yeah, so.
Okay,
Absolutely.
then I would say, well, we'll put it in the form of a motion, if someone wants to move it along here.
It's the, under beneficiary
Yep.
approval.
Yep.
You guys will be the first signature, beating mine.
On there, so, someone wanna make a motion to approve the initial presentation on Aiden Bahailo's Eagle Scout project?
So if you wanna look through, you know, this is a more detailed, this is more for the committee.
No, that's okay, no, I'm familiar
So
with that.
Charlotte, you seconded that?
Yes, you did. Any further discussion?
Yes. When are we gonna see you again?
You know, maybe, I don't think,
Yes, really, that's the truth.
you know, if you guys wanna talk, I'm always open. Definitely not in March, but maybe April when cause I need to go to the committee, the Boy Scout committee of like, you know, all the adult leaders. And if that gets approved, then I go to the state and I get Miss Ruddy's signature. So I'm thinking that those two will come in March. And I think if all goes well, hopefully, you know, I'll be able to start in, you know, mid-April, early April, so.
So what I would recommend is just give us an update for our March meeting, or at any point, you can just send me an email, okay? And then, also, I would plan on coming in April, because by then you should have everything pretty well firmed up as to what you're doing. And on top of it, you probably don't wanna be working up there in March, because it's gonna be very sloppy, and if it's anything like last year, you'll be under a foot of snow.
Yeah.
So, or two.
So it's an update for the March meeting and then come to our April meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I asked not to be I didn't ask to be a wise
Curmudgeon?
guy.
Oh,
No, it's,
Projects are like an artist doing a painting. You sketch it out, we put oil to the canvas, then you put canvas on, put oil on the canvas, and then you come back, you do it again, till finally it comes out as a full project. So I don't imagine you come in with plans in April that are good for the next 2 years. So, we wanna see the first pass. You gave us an overview of your plan. Come back in April with more concrete lines on the canvas, and so we'll see where the plan's going, and that kind of thing. That's how it's done. So, thank you very much.
and on top of it, we really wanna be able to stay in time with you and also understand what you're doing and, know when we can go out and see some results too, so. Okay, so, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I haven't heard that much enthusiasm in a long time here.
May is the 5th. So I want to say thank you to all of you for, you know, allowing me to come speak
What do you
at.
need to do?
Date.
That's the 5th.
So, yeah.
Well done.
And I think, you know, getting youth more involved in these things is another, you know, big aspect of this, because, you know, a lot of kids nowadays, they just kind of, you know, sit in their houses, not really doing anything. And, you know, and a lot of, like, the kids, especially in my grade, they hate East Haddam, but, like,
They do?
yeah, they're like, I don't want to live in this. No, don't worry about it. I'm not hating on my grade. Thank you.
Thank you.
But like, there's a lot here to do,
Yeah,
and
there
there's
is.
a lot to check out. So,
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you so much, it's nice meeting you.
So,
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Very good.
yeah, so I'll just be out. Do you guys want to keep the pamphlet things or?
Yeah, I need at least one for the minutes.
Yeah, you need-
Back to
Need more copies, because I know they're expensive,
Yeah.
because they're.
They're I should. Yeah, I'll hold on for them.
We can print them ourselves.
We can.
So
Just
don't,
let me know.
When so do you guys know Bruce Freeman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I need to print 42 pages of full color. He's like, yeah, what color? And I'm like, blue, and he's like, I'm out of that. And then he said, go for it. So I killed the printer. And,
If you need something for you can send it to Rob and he'll send it to me.
I can
and
get it printed.
no, what
You
I'm
can
gonna
get
do
it
is I'm
printed.
gonna rotate around the school. So after.
A man after my own heart. Find
So,
another printer.
yeah, after Mr. Freeman, you know, he's like, Aiden, you gotta stop doing this. I'll probably go to the library. And after Mr. Messi kicks me out, I'll go to Miss Lejeune. And then by that time, Mr. Freeman, he won't care. So I'll just
Circle back around. I used to do that when I worked at Aetna. The printer's out of toner. I need to find another printer on
Send it to
another
another
floor.
one.
I love it.
Excellent, Aiden. And if you need to get to a point where you have to print a lot and you need some, come see me and I will have our folks down in
Believe me, the amount of paper they do for planning and zoning, they will not mind 40
Yeah.
pages.
not at all.
They won't even notice it.
They won't even notice. There'll be a bloop and then right there. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
yeah, no, thank you guys again.
Good night. Take care. Good night.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Oh, that-
It's only 15.
Oh, the first time we met him was like, wow.
15? I can't believe he's only
Oh, yeah.
15.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Contrast.
What, a contrast? I don't
We're not gonna
understand.
say that we're
Don't
recording.
forget, we're being recorded, folks.
Yes, I know.
Wow.
So,
Very
Very
different.
mature.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
I mean, when the scouts are up there, does somebody from the commission have to be there as well?
it's
Or
recommended but not essential, but,
Okay.
you,
I mean, adult supervision that you're talking about, adult supervision?
Well, there will be
not
three.
just to observe what they're doing and,
We can observe, it, okay, but as first, but the scouts should provide,
yeah, they have their own supervision.
Their own supervision.
They have, the scoutmaster has to be there and several adults. They, Mr. Allen, Mr. Scott Allen, I think his name was, I think is like coordinates the Eagle Scout projects and he would be there. Aiden's father is the scoutmaster, which is probably why he wasn't here. I think he had originally was planning on Mr. Allen to be here tonight.
Yes.
And, but it's well supervised with adults.
I think he's doing the Eagle Scout project is going through Mr. Allen, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
because he
to
did,
separate himself from the father.
yeah, he didn't want to see that it was nepotism or anything, so. he
He's
wanted-
actually even going that route rather than,
So
Well, that's a Boy Scout thing. They
Yeah.
can do it as they need. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, from the commission's
So,
perspective, do we need to have
we
somebody
done,
there?
when they
there
did those
are
projects, I
minors there?
periodically, like when they put the youth group areas, camping area in down at Hatch Lot, I stopped in a couple times during the project. But I mean, they were there over 2 or 3 days. I mean, one time I went up there and I said, guys, you can stop digging because it was just their heads. You know, the little, you know, I said, I don't wanna have it cave in and lose a scout or two in the bottom of the hole, so, and that was for the outhouse. I said, and in fact, you know, you're gonna have to fill some of it back in. I think the digging was just so good, they got carried
Yeah.
away and couldn't stop, but anyway, yeah, it was really funny. I was just walking and I could see dirt coming out of the ground and I didn't see any workers. I was going, what the heck? So anyway,
there's gold in their hills.
yeah, so, and I said, stop, guys. So, yeah, and it doesn't make any difference who goes, it's just that I have the feeling we will be very well informed as to what is happening throughout this project, so. And like I said, Mr. Hedler, when I spoke to him on other projects, he was very excited to be working with a scout who appeared to have his act together, shall we say. Okay, moving on. Excellent. We'll go back to old business, item A, subcommittee updates. So, would you like to start today, Sue, if you wouldn't mind?
I don't have much except that we submitted our article for the next, are you seeing it? I don't know, you always get yours about 3 weeks before I do. Mine goes around the world 3 times before. So the article is about invasive species. I think I told you last time that I picked up this little DEP magazine and opened it. It said kudzu found in East Haddam, and it was kind of stunning, you know, with a picture of it. And it put me in the mind of talking more about invasive species and how they're the serious threat that they are. So that's the gist of the article. The only other thing I have to report is that at the last meeting, I said I was going to meet very shortly thereafter with this young man named, whose first name went out of my head, but his last name is Fournier, who works for the East Haddam Youth and Family Services. Who
Was it Mark?
it's probably no. Is that? I can't remember, I have to go back and look him up in my, I think you're thinking of Mark Fortier, who used to be on the Board of Finance, remember that?
Yeah.
In the, but anyway, the East Haddam Youth and Family Services tries to promote healthy family activities that don't involve drinking or drugs, the good outside healthy activities. And so they would like to partner with us to promote hiking and, he wants to be on our mailing list for any events or anything that we're doing with it. For instance, our Stewardship Day in April, they would love to bring people out for that too. And I will get you his email address to make sure, if we have something like a mailing address, a list of people that we inform of our events, he wants to be on it.
You have that, don't you, Paul? The list of.
I have some,
You
yeah.
have some, yeah.
The one thing that he did volunteer to do, or he's anxious to work, and I think I sent a little note around, he would like to try to make what he called a pinpoint map, to take digitally a map of East Haddam, and every place where there is one of our preserves that's got marked trails, that's got a map that goes with it, to have what he called a pinpoint map, so that there's, like when you go on and you see, like a teardrop shaped icon, so that when you click on the icon, right, in Moodus, you'd find the Davison property. If you click on an icon near Mill Road, you'd see, that it would link you to the maps. I said I thought that we would be very pleased to have such a thing. He thought he could do it, but
He doesn't have to, because we already have that map.
No,
No.
no, we don't have the map. It's
It doesn't
be a
link,
map
though.
of East Haddam where you would find.
Hike, and on our trails,
No,
No, you just see the little
you
pinpoints.
see the little pinpoint and
Oh.
you click on the pinpoint and it would
Oh,
open
oh,
up
it's,
the
oh, it's an
map.
interactive type
Yeah.
map.
That would
Oh.
be what,
Yeah.
similar to what the
That guy.
Wander
the
our
water-
watershed?
Watershed is doing.
to link you to
Yeah,
our,
okay, I'm sorry, I just thought she was just
right,
not
Yeah.
clicking on a point, I thought they were shooting one,
Yeah.
okay.
right. that
Okay.
links- And he thought he could do this.
Okay.
And I told him I said I thought people would be quite thrilled to have such a thing.
Well, I think it'd be great because, first of all, I mean, basically you'd be just linking to the particular map for that property, correct?
Right, yeah.
Right.
So Maryland, okay, so,
Links are already on the on town website, so all he has to do.
but
is-
Maryland also did a map for the Economic Development with their brochure, which had the town map with the preserves with the trails all on it, and so he could probably use that as a reference.
Right.
So, or, I mean, Maryland could probably send a larger copy so he's not straining his eyes to see what's there, but yes, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, and so I'll get back to him and tell him, and we might want to put him together with you to talk about this, but he seemed to think that would be, for someone like him who is going out to try to involve people,
Is it John?
It might be John, I have to go back and,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
right.
What's the last name again? Fortier or Fournier?
Fournier.
Fournier, okay.
That the people he deals with, who are, many of them are youngsters, or would that would be a tool that they would
Mm-hmm.
use quite readily.
So in that same vein, I was at a Youth and Family Services function last week sometime. And they were on a different subject, but one of the things that they talked about is getting youth more involved in going out and hikes and everything.
Yep.
And I did volunteer to lead a hike every month for just
Excellent, okay,
Oh,
that's
kids,
great. That's
so,
super. Yeah,
which could be after school or
Yeah.
on a weekend or whatever, so.
right,
In the same vein, and I left that information with Tony's McCabe, so
yeah, yeah.
we can coordinate that,
Right.
so.
So I'll get back to him, and I invited him to this meeting, but he couldn't come to this meeting, but he could come in March.
Okay,
So I
excellent.
will I'll reiterate that invitation for him
Was
to
he the
come.
guy with the ponytail?
I'm sorry,
Was he the guy with the ponytail?
I still couldn't.
Did
Is
he
it the
have
guy
a
with the
ponytail?
ponytail?
Possibly.
Okay.
I was, we had, I was at two rest, I didn't look at the back of his head.
Oh.
He was sitting across.
Did he have glasses on? No? Oh, never mind.
He's probably in his late 20s.
Yeah.
Dark dark hair.
Dark hair,
Yeah,
kind of soft spoken.
yeah.
Yep.
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 Got it.
Okay, cool. We've actually been getting some, at least I've been getting some verbal feedback that they like the articles in the magazine. So, I don't know if we've gotten any written stuff, but people say that they like your writing.
No kidding.
Yes.
They never call me up.
Yeah,
I put my name in there every week.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna call
I've
all the
only,
time.
over the last maybe 2 years, I've only had one person actually email me and wanted, just wanted to know how to find the maps and put her in touch, and she was thrilled, so,
Excellent.
yeah.
So you are reaching out and making contact, and I think making sure we do this every magazine and getting people more aware of what is going on in our town and what we have available in our town. Because I will tell you that Sue Smith, who is our new economic development director, coordinator, whatever, has written an article or a article with a bunch of photos to Smithsonian Magazine regarding getting 20 towns that you should visit or whatever in Connecticut or whatever. So, and touting the 68 miles of trails, the open space, the Blue Way on the west side and the Wild and Scenic Watershed on the east side and the IBA, etc. So, on that same general vein, I'll bring this up, is you want to talk a little bit about the 8 Mile Wander Our Watershed?
Well, yeah, the 8 Mile River is a Wild and Scenic Coordinating Committee is about to launch, or maybe
It's up.
it's up, an interactive website that links, it's called Wander the Watershed, and it links, it's not just a map of the watershed, but it links to all kinds of
Wander Our
other
Watershed.
things besides nature. It links to where you can eat, where you can, what other features, what other cultural attractions, what other sites that you can go to, so that as you come to the watershed, that you could sample a whole bunch of different activities and cultural and opportunities besides hiking, along with hiking in the watershed.
So initially, the initial presentation has to do specifically with the watershed, but they're going to be adding to it in the near future continually to include all the businesses and everything in the town. So right now, for example, even though Wrestling Cats and Town Tavern and some of those places are not in the watershed, they've been added so people know where they can get a bite to eat. And they're gonna keep expanding that throughout the 5 towns that are in the general area, and Old Lyme. So it would be Old Lyme, Lyme, East Haddam, Colchester, Salem. Is that 6? I think that's everyone. And so it's gonna be an interactive map. You'll see a fork and a spoon and a plate or something, and you'll click on that and it'll tell you where they are and what they have to offer, for example. In some places, they do have, it's on a map, so you'll see at Devil's Hop Yard, there'll be a place for hiking or something. And we'll pop on that and we'll show the maps. Or for kayaking, a quiet kayak and things like that.
Will it be like horseback riding and all that too?
Yeah,
All those-
eventually it'll be mountain biking,
Horseback riding.
all those things.
Campground.
Campgrounds, yep, I think
So what
campgrounds
is-
are all on there.
What is Wander Our Watershed? What is this a group of? Connected to the
8 Mile
Watershed?
Wild and Scenic Watershed.
Okay.
They're the ones sponsoring it. They actually got a National Park Service grant for this, so.
That's fantastic. Exactly what this town needs.
Yep. So we actually have a lot of good stuff happening in this vein, emphasizing
Value open space.
exactly. So,
You can put that in the minutes too. Mr. Chairman?
yes, sir.
Along those lines with the stewardship Saturday, we only have 3 more meetings before we have the event,
right.
so we've got to start planning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should form a subcommittee, the layout we need to get done, and then that'll make the job a lot easier. Because I think, if we get Youth and Family Services on board, and maybe the Boy Scouts might show up too, I kinda got the feeling the Boy Scouts might show up too. We could get quite a crowd that day.
So are you suggesting that you'd like to head that subcommittee, sir?
Since I brought it up, I guess I can't say no.
That's what I heard, that's what I heard.
One more meeting.
Excellent.
One more meeting.
Well, it's, at the April one is early.
3 more meetings,
How do you say three?
February, March, and April.
Well, we're in
We're in
February.
February.
That's right, we are. I'm sorry, 2 more meetings.
This is the third.
I was like, what month are we adding to the
This
calendar?
meeting isn't over yet.
Including this meeting,
So there isn't much, Mike.
because the planning will be completed 3 weeks after the event.
Yeah, that's the current schedule. That's right.
So,
Who would like to join me on my subcommittee? I need probably 2 more. Oh, Paul, thank you. 1 more would be fine, if more fine, but 1 more, I'd like to see 1 more.
Oh,
Tomorrow, okay, very good.
Are you gonna need a recording secretary?
Brown drop.
What did you say?
I would not have for anything else.
No.
I mean,
No recording
kids,
secretary? Okay.
kids that went to school with my kids that bump into someone that
No.
knows they don't.
Okay.
Mrs. Gelston's still on Kingdom.
what was it, I'm looking at, what was it?
April 13th, is it?
It was the 6th, we moved it to the 13th,
Because
because
of
the
Easter.
6th is something else is going on.
Isn't it Easter? What is it?
Oh, that's the.
Townwide cleanup?
The
Town- oh, that's
townwide
what-
cleanup and the Lions Club road race.
Yes,
Yes,
that
That's
was.
a road race, yes. Yeah, so it's the 13th of April. All right, I'll let you folks know when we'll have our first meeting, probably next week.
You're gonna let them know next week, or you think the meeting will
I
be
gotta look
next
at my
week?
schedule first. I got a lot of things going on myself. This is budget season, and anyway, I'll try to have it next week, I'll let you know.
Excellent. And of course, anyone else is always available to attend. So at least I
Yes.
anticipate that.
Yes, in fact, yes.
Everybody prepared, set? Good?
I'm done, thank you.
Okay. I'll go over a little bit of stewardship. So we've been working off and on down there on the bridge. The weather's not cooperated this last month, and I've had some things, we're gonna be working last week, but I had a unexpected conflict come up having to do with budgets. So things had to get shuffled around, so we weren't able to work last weekend, which there was all these big crocodile tears I got in text from people that, oh darn. So, on
The
the,
day you sent it, it was like 4.
your point being? There was something about a game or something going on that day too. I don't know what it was all about. So anyway, so nothing else has been done there. I would like actually to try and do something this week, including tomorrow is an option and or Friday. Now Friday's going to be quite warm, but I think it's going to be rainy.
Yeah, rain Friday, right.
So, is anybody available to do a little bit of work tomorrow? I know you're working. Are you working? You're looking like you might not be
Well,
working.
no, I mean, what time are you talking?
I don't know. What time do you want to work? The whole day is kind of open, so.
Oh, I mean, I work till 4, so.
Oh, okay. When you're home, when are you home? Oh, okay. You available, sir, tomorrow?
Oh,
I am.
I'm sorry, I
How
missed
did I
it.
get here?
Working on the Rose Farm Bridge tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I'll be in Hartford.
Yeah. So,
So Mr. Wilson can help with Mr. Sienna, maybe if you guys.
if we wait till late, but there's not much
Oh, wow, yeah.
not much daylight then. In a month we could have that. You could, yeah. But so the idea being is if we can get a couple more sections done, then we can have a very large work party. We can have a bunch of people putting up railings.
Hard
You can't
stuff
be
done.
mean this time.
Yeah.
What?
I'm covering for you, Gary. You can't be mean to Gary if he comes this time, he's alone.
And,
Well, I have to get Joe there to keep us separated.
Yeah.
I'll see if Joe's available. He might be
That's
available
good.
tomorrow.
I'm trying to help you here, Gary.
I appreciate it.
Keep you out of the water,
I need all the help I can get.
keep the heckling section
Because they're
far away.
talking another half-inch of rain on tomorrow night, and it's Thursday, so. But if we get the 2 ramps put in or almost assembled, then we can move forward with, getting a much larger work party, putting the decking down.
You're talking about doing that Sunday?
Yeah, probably not this weekend.
Are all the 6x6s down there?
6x6s? Yes, there's a lot of 6, but for what?
Well, I mean, is there carrying lumber down to the site involved? in
Oh,
this
yeah.
Exercise tomorrow?
Yes, there's always that.
I am not available.
Look at,
Back says no.
did you hurt yourself moving your gun safe? Is that what you're saying?
It was heavy.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I moved my son, so I'm sure.
What time would that, I'm gonna see if I can recruit Arthur to help.
Oh, excellent.
What,
Uh,
I don't know if he's available.
I haven't, what, is there any particular time that works better for you, sir?
Anytime's good. I'm up at 5:30.
Well, I'm not. So 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock? Well, no, we want to take the, shut up. Wow. We want to get the,
on lunch
chill off the air.
Wow. You're a farmer, huh?
Obviously works for the state.
How about 10 o'clock? The frost will be off the ground by
Would
then.
be fine.
Okay.
Are we meeting at the top of the hill or down below?
Assuming we'll meet at the top.
Wearing it at top of which hill?
The top of the, well, they don't open until 10 o'clock. That's why I'm saying 10 o'clock. The gates open at 10. Rose Farm. Oh, wait a minute.
No,
They're
Rose-
closed on Wednesday.
Oh, Ray of Light?
Ray of Light.
So it would be like for a couple hours?
It may not be at all. I just realized they're not
Yeah, but
open
you don't have to
tomorrow.
worry about, because if we get enough people there, they could be doing one thing while we're doing the ramps.
Maybe. I still like to get them. Wednesday's out. Sorry. I forgot they're not open on Wednesday. And
All
I
right,
don't
so
want
you're
to
not gonna
I'll
do
scratch that up.
scratch that out. We'll see what the weather brings for. Delete. Sorry. I forgot they're not open tomorrow.
But you have to go through the ray of light process
Yeah,
to get to it.
yeah. And I don't want to have to get dealing with opening and closing gates every time someone comes and goes or whatever. Well, it isn't going anywhere, but I did get all the new long timbers down there, and they're smaller, Gary, you'll be happy to know.
Oh, you got new timbers down there?
Yeah, we got 20 footers this time rather than 24 footers, and they're only 2x10s, not 2x12, so,
Oh, much easier.
1 armors. Okay.
4-foot 2x12s were brutal.
So, we got permission from the town to put the gravel down on the road going down. So that will be addressed, and I've shown, Mr. Headler on Public Works what has to be done.
This is the road to the bridge through Ray of Light, right?
Correct, yep. As was discussed at the last meeting. And, so that's been taken care of. He's also gonna get some gravel on the wet spots in Rose Farm on that one trail that goes off, the yellow trail goes off to the left. And I also talked to him about the wet areas, which I got several comments on over in Lena, on the trail, in the parking lot. Wanna go straight off into the woods to the, what color is that trail?
The one that goes straight, that's the, isn't that the white?
There's one that
There's the one that goes straight from the road,
goes straight from the road. Is that red?
that's the red one.
Yeah, so the portion of the red one, the first portion of the red one that has a lot of water in it. And then the white, no, what's the one, the yellow
white-
trail?
The yellow.
The yellow one, the center trail has a lot of water on it. So he's gonna see about addressing that. Cause as he said, when they put the parking lot in there, it was even wet. So, and this year it is wet.
Wow.
So,
So
As they have
need
time.
gravel? Okay, they need
so
gravel.
we have a lot of gravel, so they'll be using that to dress the edges, so. Probably in the spring, I asked them to give me a couple weeks' notice when they could start the ADA trail, so we could possibly assist with putting in the siltation fence. But he said they might just do it, so.
So they're back to helping a lot.
As they can, as much as they can, so. But obviously, at this time of year, it's very dependent on the weather.
Can I get to Harris and brush out that,
What part of Harris?
the part that's next to me that's got all the invasives?
Oh, I will bring that up again. That's actually with the other crew, so,
Now's the time to do it, because you can see.
yep. I will make sure that it's done before it leaves out again.
That would be really great. 'cause-
Unify do it. Okay, so, we will have one or two more work parties trying to get that to the point where we can really go to town with it, either with us working on it, but because if we can get enough people in there, we can put the decks down, the railings down, we can do the, puncheon bridge, there's a ton of stuff there, so, and if, when we did the bridge down at, Petrel, what do we have, 15 people working on that sometimes?
Yeah.
So,
At least.
and, it went along pretty fast, but you gotta have some prep work done for them, so otherwise they're standing around waiting for stuff to happen, so. That never happens with us. So, okay, that's pretty much the story on, stewardship, and
Outreach and promotion?
kinda covered that, so.
Okay.
Okay? That's what Sue did early on. Next then,
She did volunteer activism. I thought.
well,
Okay, I'll move that
same
on.
thing, we're gonna have to change those titles.
Yeah, we are.
IWWC,
I was not able to attend the last meeting, but I did talk to the chairman the day after, and nothing's happening, they only had a 14-minute meeting. Not much is going on in the wetlands these days.
yes, that was one of the fastest meetings, cause I was there.
Oh, you know all about it then, okay.
Public, planning and zoning, Joe's not here. I think I was able to attend that one, so. Item C, using the public works, budget discussion, I think we talked about that last month, and nothing has changed on that, except we are in the budget process now. Todd's been at it a little bit longer, we had our first multi-hour meeting last Saturday, we meeting the Board of Selectmen. And, anything to report? We have some big expenses potentially out there.
That's right, that's the big deal.
I left it on here just because it isn't finalized yet, just to
Uh,
make sure if we need to know what's going on.
yeah, well, it won't be finalized probably until June or whenever.
Do you want me to take it off for a couple months?
You might as well take it off.
Okay.
So, anything else under old business? Okay, going to item 6, new business, we've already discussed the Eagle Scout project, and, I think everyone's pretty pleased about that. And then we have the guidelines for public posting of Conservation Commission events.
I printed out copies for
Yep.
everybody.
So, I took comments from folks and I added some of my own, and Marilyn added some stuff, and,
Charlotte, this copy had Charlotte's corrections, respond corrections.
okay.
That was the final update I got.
So, questions, comments, thoughts?
Looks good.
I thought it was very good. Because if everyone's comfortable with it, we will put it
I have one
into our.
question.
Yes,
It says here, if it's determined blah, 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 e.g., blah, 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 step 3, is that right, the way that's stated? That's
no, I got
you know
shuffled.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
Okay, is that right?
it goes to step 3, I think that's what that means.
Yeah, that
Okay.
goes to step 3.
So it's fine the way it is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, okay.
So,
Try this out with, April 13th, Stewardship Sunday. That's Saturday.
absolutely. Actually, before that, if we have a.
Idea of what project we would be working on in April?
That's one of the things we have to sort out at subcommittee, come up with recommendations, I was thinking the same thing. Lots of opportunity. Which one will we want?
This might be a good opportunity if we can get, Roaring Brook boundaries done ahead of time, and we can have a big trail project down there. Get everybody out for that, something like that, so.
Okay, got our first choice, first option.
So, do we have a somewhere in our files, or we don't have anything online, but general guidelines of things that we're doing?
We can certainly put it online, but yeah, I certainly can create a file. I've been saving everything on my.
So let's do a file, because did we ever, and we're going back several years, and I've forgotten exactly, in fact, quite a few years now, the guidelines we put together for letterboxing, for example.
I'd have to find that. I know I have it all because I
Okay.
don't delete anything off mine.
So I think it'd be nice if, and then once we have that, if everybody had a copy of all those things, it would be good if we could
Yeah.
make sure everyone does, okay?
Yeah, Shannon, the only thing you might wanna change on this is actually put, if we're agreeing that this is the date, put the
Yeah, I know,
date.
that's what I have adopted date, that's a dummy, so I put the date in there.
Some people put X's, X.
Hey! You want this job? All right then.
No, because you're doing such an excellent job. And I really like where it says adopted date as opposed to X's.
My
Okay,
right hand is my stronger hand, Rob.
so I will entertain a motion to adopt this as our policy.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion?
Thank you very much.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Before we move to new bills, one thing I wanted to bring up that came to light at Gary, I think you would appreciate this, at a land trust executive board meeting, was a discussion on getting folks that are master gardeners or in the master garden program to do some work at entrances in removing invasives and planting native trees and shrubs. So your work has been noticed already and has spurred similar comments in another organization. So, and you can talk to the president of the land trust about.
Congratulations,
So,
or condolences.
so.
The other choice was Leavenworth.
Okay. So, yes, I thought you might like to know that, so. Moving on, new bills.
And if I can mention, to
Yep.
add on to that, there are 58 people currently in the class over in Haddam for the Middlesex class.
Yep.
So
58?
there are 58 people. The room is full, and it's a big,
That's a pretty good size
been
room.
over there at the
Oh,
extension
yeah.
center.
I've known
It's,
it.
it's a pretty good sized room.
Wow,
It's full.
wow,
So, I mean, people will be looking for things to do, so
well,
if there are concrete activities that we can line up for people, I think the coordinator, the master gardener coordinator would probably be amenable to allowing them to use that time for their volunteer hours.
Do you
Because
know
they
who
need
the
to put
coordinator
30
is?
hours in of volunteer hours.
Do you know who the coordinator is?
It's Gail Reynolds.
Oh, Gail, you know Gail from Etna.
I do?
Yeah.
you know Gail from the Land Trust Exchange, the Haddam Land
Yes,
Trust
I
person.
do know Gail. I don't remember who Gail is, but.
Really curly, tight
president.
blonde hair.
Huh?
The president, who,
Oh! Okay.
Tight, curly blonde hair.
I
Yeah.
know who she is.
she knows
You
who
remember
she
her
is.
from
Yeah.
She
I
knows,
don't remember her from
Yeah, she
Etna.
was in IT.
Oh, I don't think I dealt with her directly. Did I?
She dealt with the member team, but might not have been on your staff, I don't remember.
Okay. Oh, I know Gail.
Okay, we can talk later.
Yes, we can. Is there
I-
someone else I
I'm
can
not
deal
saying
with
anything.
besides Gail?
are we done with our side conversations over there?
Okay, so what are we
Okay.
noting in the minutes? That there's 58 people enrolled and potentially there's, that's a
Potentially,
volunteer?
there is a crew of volunteers. If
Sounds like an excellent source.
there are opportunities
manpower and-
available for them.
1,740 hours we could do.
Did you have
When do they start their volunteer hours? Do they start them at a certain point of training?
Are you sharing?
No,
At any point in time, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
look what happened to my whipped
Based
cream.
on my experience, they will take their final like in October. So anytime between now and October,
Okay.
there's a potential source of manpower.
Okay, all right, good.
So, are you going to, Marilyn, you're gonna go have a conversation over there, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long distance conversation.
Okay, moving on. Bills. I only have one bill. It is for at Shag Bark, because guys are getting tired of not having anything to carry down there, so we got some more stuff for them. But it amounts to $770.39.
Hold on, 770, what, 770?
39. 77039.
Shag Bark. Do I need to say that they're headlock screws?
No headlock screws in this.
Wood, right?
This is all wood, and actually it goes back to some stuff we did after last month's project, so, or including last month when we worked on the bridge, so. Pressure treated lumber primarily. I ordered, PT 20-foot 2x10s, and they sent me Doug fir, so, they had to exchange those, so we have a credit and everything's here, and, so that's what it amounts to. Long timbers are getting expensive, I know that.
You gotta try buying plywood.
I know.
It's astronomical,
Yeah.
since I last bought it.
What's it up to now?
For 3/8 thick plywood,
3/8?
big plywood, 3/8 plywood, 4x8, $34.
3/8?
3/8, yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Is it gold plated?
I guess it will be later on.
Is that like pressure treated?
No, it's plywood, just regular plywood.
Is the plywood more than the OSB now?
It could be,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all over, I mean, OSB has been up and down too, I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't much savings. I mean, it was just crazy.
No.
Motion to approve Shag Bark bill for the sum of $770.39.
I make the motion.
Second?
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
You're not gonna sign this?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Is there anything else? I'm just.
Nope,
doing
I'm
everything.
good, thank you.
Okay.
Is there another bill?
No, we have no other bills. No public comment. So, next meeting is March 5th. There will be a meeting prior to that, most probably, by the subcommittee.
Right.
We'll be meeting here. Was there anything in our mailboxes or
Oh,
anything?
shoot, I forgot to check that. Do you want me to run down and check it real quick? I don't need that,
Oh, you got your thing?
I got my badge, yeah.
Okay. While Shannon's checking that, I will go over our current, monies here. And, right now, it appears that most of the money's been coming off our regular budget, not our capital, so we still show $9,900 there, round numbers. And we still have money in our, capital too, so. But, you know, we'll be taking 700, we'll be down to 9,000 approximately by the time this goes in.
How much more do we need for that project,
For the project,
for the bridge project?
I'm gonna say another 1,000. A lot of the material for that bridge is already on hand, so, we'll probably need more 4x4s and more 2x4s for the railings, and, but much of and some decking material. But we also have some decking material still stockpiled at my house that I'll be bringing down.
The special stuff is, we bought already, decking?
Yes, that's on hand, yep. I have to get some screws, which will be, $150, stainless steel screws for those, but, and, some other stuff, so. That's
Going
that,
back to item 7, I will not be here at the March 5th.
okay. party.
And remember, Tom can't join that one either.
Is that the one he wouldn't be able to be
He said
at?
he couldn't be at two of them.
Yeah, too, he said that.
But Joe will be here.
I anticipate Joe would be. Joe would have been here tonight, but he did want to spend, it was his daughter's birthday, so he wanted to spend it with, with the family.
They've been on vacation.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right, they were on vacation, weren't they? That's right. So, anything for the good of the order? I know everybody wants,
Just a little short news item, today's hard for current, you probably know all about it, is to set aside 1% tax on house sales
Oh, that's
towards
the-
open space.
conveyance bill.
The green fund, that's been around for a long time. It's that, what they sometimes refer to the green fund, it's enabling legislation that enables a town to have an up to 1% real estate conveyance tax that could be dedicated to open space or brownfield cleanup.
Oh, just for brownfield cleanup, not for purchase of open space?
Oh, no.
No, open space purchase and
Oh, okay,
brownfield cleanup.
okay.
And, go ahead.
Was there more to it?
Yes, it also would allow towns to spend the money to pay down their bonding that they, on money on open space that's already been purchased. And to fund stewardship of such open space.
Now, has this been passed?
No,
And it's just being heard, I think, now.
it was actually, a hearing was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I tried to get, last year the selectmen voted in favor of it. At the last meeting, you were there, right?
I wasn't at the last meeting.
Oh, okay. It was brought up, it'll be brought up again tomorrow to see if we can sign on. It's gonna be for a restricted number of towns initially that sign on to the bill, but the number has increased significantly from last year to this year.
Yeah.
And it would be foolish, since we were on last year, to not be on this year, so.
Be foolish, period, not to be on there.
Well, I mean, what is really interesting about it is that it would have generated last year for this town $140,000. The money is paid by the purchaser only,
Buyer, it's on the buyer, yep.
and you're only the one up to 1% is only on the amount that's over 150,000. So the first 150,000 is exempt. That was put in to help first-time buyers and low-income buyers, things like that. So, the money never leaves the town. That's the other part of it.
That sounds real good.
And basically, the thought is that you're buying into the town that you're moving into.
Yeah.
And what they've found is where this has been done, and there's several counties and towns where this has been done, the value of property tends to go up in town. And the other thing that happens is that at the end, many of them have sunset clauses. And when the sunset clause does come around, like happened on Suffolk County on Long Island, it was overwhelmingly supported and passed again because it did so much for the town. So,
Good idea.
The opposition is the realtors and the home builders.
yes, and both of those ended up supporting it when it was enacted over their objections.
Because
On the next
the
time.
values went up.
The values of the properties went up, and it had virtually no impact on housing development, and it increased the value of houses, because study after study has shown that, and we have realtors in this town that make a point of advertising this, but houses within a quarter mile or easy walking distance, and some use a mile or more, to open space, the value of the property goes up. And at resale, and interestingly, not so much at assessed value during assessment time, but at resale. Eventually it all catches up, but there's usually a delay. And with the end result that potentially the mill rate goes down, and then there's, interesting things that happen. And Colchester did a study years ago that open space costs about 13 cents for every dollar in taxes. So in other words, A house costs $1. A house costs $1.18 for every dollar it gives in taxes. So basically, it's $1.05 at least. That is to the good on open space for tax revenue. So anyway, there's really no negatives. Jackie Noel, who's a realtor in town, has supported this for years, and all her ads
Oh, yeah, she always does.
always says near open space.
Oh.
So what has to be done then for this to become,
So
fait
the
accompli?
legislature has to vote for it.
First, it's gotta get out of the environment.
Yeah, it's got to get out of the environment committee, which I
So
think.
it's in a
Yeah.
state level
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
And it probably has to go to some other committees and.
Because it has no impact on the finances of the state,
No.
it may not have to go to, what's that brand, that subcommittee or a committee? It's finance and,
Yeah, but it may have to go to planning and development.
Yeah. but, and many of the towns have supported it. And the townspeople have to vote that they want to do it.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Enabling
It's enabling legislation. It just doesn't happen. It allows the town to put this in place. So Lyme would have it, but East Haddam would potentially couldn't or wouldn't have it. And Salem might have it, or because it's what is called enabling legislation. So it allows you to do that.
But it would need to be voted on in East Haddam.
And the town, and it'll be at a referendum. Typically, that's when it would be voted. Probably like at the elections in the fall or something like that. So it could be done at a town meeting too. But, I know the land trust has written a letter supporting it because Marilyn and I signed that letter.
Now, are we gonna get a lot of flack from all the developers in town trying to shoot down?
Well, it's a strange thing. I mean, again, the value of the properties that they're trying to sell goes up when they're near open space or they have adequate open space. I will tell you that there's people on planning and zoning, I think, that do not think open space has any benefit for the town. But time and time again, it shows that it does. So,
I think it's our largest asset.
Yep.
Open space in this town. How did the public hearing go? Did anybody know?
I didn't hear.
I wasn't aware even of a public hearing. These things aren't announced very well.
what happens on these things? It's weird. When did we get notified that the public hearing is gonna be Monday? Wednesday last week or something?
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. So, fortunately,
But you know, that, it might have been on an agenda with 15 other bills and.
yes, you
You
know,
could go up there in the morning and be there at crack of dawn to sign up, and they could call you to testify at 4 in the afternoon, you know, so.
That's ridiculous.
It's very hard,
It's not really, I don't think it's really democratic.
no, it's hard.
Most people have to work during the day.
and, you know, the other part of it that's, if you've ever tried to give testimony up there, I find it extremely frustrating. I've done it twice and I'll never do it again.
I know, I've been there too.
You go up, you got 3 minutes, which starts, I don't know when they start the button, but if you're in the back of the room, it can take you a minute to get up there, and, you start talking, your 3 minutes is up. But in that 3 minutes, half the staff has wandered in and out, and one guy stays there, and it's just like, it's just, I found it rude. That was the only thing I could think of was rude, but,
So probably a helpful thing you could do is to get in touch with your state rep.
yes, and I think that's important, that you want to support this, so.
Although I don't think, either of them are on the environment committees, but they can certainly make their wishes known.
Yes, yep, to move it along.
Yeah.
So Lyme has been on it for years. Salem, I don't think is on it. Like I said, we were on it last year, but it never got it. I think it made out of committee, but then died.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I think it has great benefits for the towns.
Absolutely, particularly this town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's like everything else, you gotta sell it. You gotta explain it. You gotta good case on its own will not sell.
Yep.
You have to sell it, point it out, because life today is so complicated.
They have to be willing to go against a concerted lobby that's against it. And, I mean, a lobby that's
The lobby's gotta show us the reasons, because data is building that the lobby is wrong. The data
yes,
says the opposite.
that is the strange part, and,
It's
you
a little
know,
like the anti-vaxxers though.
yes.
Instead of showing more data doesn't have.
And one of the things is,
They
so,
got their mindset, I know what you mean, but that's where.
you know, in some cases, it's $1,000 more, and most people are mortgaging their property. And that amounts to, on a 30-year or 15-year mortgage, amounts to $10 a month or some crazy thing like that. I mean, it's a very small amount of money and that's where you end up paying that. And if the value of properties increase because they're near open space, then the end result is that you make that back in spades when you sell your house, if you sell your house. So, you all say that, so.
Some of us mean it though.
Okay, so I know some people would like to go hear the State of the Union,
Going to sleep.
or go to sleep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I have a comment,
Yep.
and I became aware of this Connecticut Land Conservation Conference on
Yes.
March 23rd.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm glad you brought it up.
And,
We
you know,
pay
I-
people to
I
go
looked
there.
through the agenda, and there are some interesting topics in here. I'm just wondering if this is something that the Conservation Commission would support.
We pay every year for someone to go, so if you would like to go, or anyone can go, I mean,
You should
Marilyn and I are gonna be going as part of the land trust.
figure out
We're
which
members
courses
of
you
it.
wanna go, figure out which ones you wanna go to. You can only go to, yeah, one.
They're all stewardship.
This Mike. And, we pay for it. Conservation Commission pays for it, so.
So who did he send these to?
So, Joe usually goes,
Okay.
you've never been.
No,
You
just Joe.
don't, you,
Well, you have to pick one from each,
That's the way things to do.
right? You
So-
can't pick these three. They're all going on at the
These
same-
were just different options
Things that
that I
Yeah, so you
might
have to-
have. These were ones I was interested in attending, and this is session 1, 2,
Right,
3, and 4.
right.
so what I would recommend, go ahead,
Fill it out?
fill it out,
Oh, and then you can get reimbursed?
and we'll reimburse.
Okay.
Okay,
That's the easiest way for
very
this.
good, thank you.
They're
And-
really
And are
good.
we a CLCC member?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's real,
So
they're
just say you're
really.
East Haddam Conservation Commission, so.
That was all.
That was, and it's a great program, if you have not attended, well, you said you hadn't, so,
Who's that, Wesleyan?
yeah, that's when it was.
Is that at the Coven House?
No, it's at Wesleyan. Well, CLCC is out at the Coven House, but, the thing is at Wesleyan University.
They're just like Jack.
And it's just, it's a great program. This is its 30th year, 20th year? I've been going a long time. I didn't go last year because we had an all-day budget session that day,
I'm not
but,
trying to sell you a dog. No, I was sitting here between the two little puppies.
and,
It's like, geez, lady.
we had a great program, for those who didn't get to the annual meeting of the Land Trust last, on the
I know,
19th.
I wanted to go, but somebody was cranky.
On bears and bobcats.
Is this a never-ending meeting?
Yes, I know.
Jesus.
Would you like this, ma'am? All in
I'm gonna roll
fa-
it up and beat you with it.
Now, since I'm getting things thrown at me, we're adjourned. It's only been an hour and a half, for heaven's sakes.
But you said 10 minutes ago that this was the end. and then
Well,
you just
people kept
keep
bringing
going.
stuff up, it's his fault.
I gotta turn it on.
Turn off the machine, please.
Turning it